Yesterday, Disney had their big shareholder meeting, which the biggest topic of concern for most people was about the vote going into the Disney board of directors. And it looks like CEO Bob Iger is able to maintain 100% control over his board of directors. So I guess congratulations are in order for Bob Iger. Everything that happens within this next year at Disney is entirely on him. There's going to be no lockdowns stifling the box office. There's going to be no actors and writer strike. Everything Disney releases within this next year is entirely on Bob Iger's shoulders. He gets all the glory, but also all the blame. So sincerely, I look forward to seeing what they put out. Well, immediately after all the votes were tabulated, Disney announced that Julia Garner will be playing the next Silver Surfer in the upcoming Fantastic Four movie. And I am being 100% honest here when I say I'm not even mad with this. I'm just waiting to see what they do with this, because one thing I've learned from a lot of Marvel movies is the mediocre ones are the ones I don't like. If something is just a complete disaster, there's still entertainment to be had with that. Now, granted, I would prefer it to be a good movie or actually just a fantastic movie that just blows my mind, that I enjoy it that way. But if I can also enjoy it because it's just such a disaster, well, then that's some amusement from it. And I can see this being the case of either one side or the other. I don't really predict this upcoming Fantastic Four movie will be somewhere in the middle. I think it'll either be just an utter disaster for Disney or something that just blows my mind. But I'm not really expecting as much. But let's read a little bit more about this. Emmy and Golden Globe winner Julia Garner is joining Marvel's The Fantastic Four as Shalla-Bal, a version of Silver Surfer from the Marvel Comics. And for people who remember, several months ago, there were rumors going around that Anya Taylor-Joy was going to be playing the Silver Surfer in the upcoming Fantastic Four movie. Now, I still don't know if there was ever any real talks with her about playing the part, but it does turn out that the rumors that there was going to be a gender-swapped Silver Surfer were accurate. She will star alongside Pedro Pascal as Reed Richards, aka Mr. Fantastic, Vanessa Kirby as Sue Storm, aka The Invisible Woman, Joseph Quinn as Johnny Storm, aka The Human Torch, and Eben Moss Bachrach as Ben Grimm, aka The Thing. The article then goes on to highlight some of her accomplishments as an actress, saying she won an Emmy and Golden Globe for her performance on the show Ozark. I can't personally attest to how good she was on that show because I didn't watch it, but I heard a lot of people did like that show and said that she did a pretty good job on it. But if I'm being completely honest, I just feel kind of bad for her. You know she's going to be getting pushback for being cast in this role, and I understand why she took the part. A major studio was offering her this type of job, so she accepted it. I can't really hold the actors accountable if the script is bad or if the studio has some ulterior motive as to why they cast a particular person for a particular part. I really don't think people should be hating on the actors unless the actor does or says something that kind of invites that themselves, like attacking the fans first and foremost. Never do that. But it is kind of unfortunate for the most part that an actress like her, who has a career ahead of her, has to deal with this sort of thing now. But you know, that's kind of what Disney's been doing in recent years, just getting people and just kind of throwing them into the fire on the altar of their agenda, which is kind of unfortunate. But there's going to be some people out there saying like, this isn't Disney pushing an agenda. They're following the comic books. She's a character from the comic books and she was a Silver Surfer at a point. And yes, that's entirely true. A lot of people are probably scouring the wikis right now to try to figure out like, can they justify having her play the Silver Surfer? And yes, there is some justification for that. But just think about it this way. Norrin Radd was the first Silver Surfer. And at least this isn't a gender swap like I was saying with the video I did on Anya Taylor-Joy being the Silver Surfer, that at least they don't call her like Nora Radd or something like that. But still, in this one, there is some justification because she did take up the mantle as Silver Surfer at a time. But you got to think about it in this terms. If you're bringing in a Fantastic Four group to the MCU for the first time and you're going to bring in the Silver Surfer, doesn't it make a lot more sense to bring in the original Silver Surfer as opposed to a version of the Silver Surfer that came about much later? Just imagine if in James Gunn's DCU, where he's going to have Batman in it at some point, and imagine if instead of it's being Bruce Wayne Batman, they make it like Damian Wayne or something like that. People would even if they don't necessarily hate the character of Damian Wayne as Batman, they'd be like, we want to see Bruce Wayne as Batman. That's the one that people are more familiar with. And it's like, yes, you can justify it, but it still probably wouldn't make sense from a cinematic universe standpoint. You should probably establish the original characters first before you start bringing in those other versions of that character. And maybe this has to do with the whole multiverse thing, because the movie is supposedly taking place within the 60s. So maybe they're going to start off there, and then through some multiverse mumbo jumbo or whatever, they're going to bring it into the modern era with the current iteration of the MCU and something like that, so they can have that interactivity with the characters that we all know about. And maybe at that point, they'll change up the Silver Surfer. I don't know what they're doing with this, and maybe I'm just reaching to try to find some justification for it, but this really does strike me as them just doing what Kevin Feige said he wanted to do, which is just stop introducing male characters and start pushing more female characters for every male character that they actually bring out. And I think that's kind of the whole point of why they're doing this. And when you're building a movie from the ground up with the intention of actually pushing an agenda over story and over what makes sense, well, then you're just going to get what we've been seeing happening in the last several years, where all the movies that they've been releasing have just been flopping at the box office. Well, maybe not all of them, definitely all the movies that they've been releasing in 2023, minus Guardians of the Galaxy, of course. That was a marginal success, which is also done because James Gunn left the MCU for the DCU. So I don't really expect much from this upcoming Fantastic Four movie, but you know, if it is a good movie, I will say as much, but for the most part, I'm expecting this to be a complete disaster. And like I was saying before, I can get some amusement out of it either way, but let me know what you think about all this in the comment section below. And if you haven't already, make sure you click that subscribe button if you want to stay up to date with the latest in entertainment news. And if you can, like and share the video because it really helps out with the channel. Thank you.